Hello EFD squad and welcome back to Transfer Review, where we put silly season under the microscope, take a closer look at all the movers and shakers. Joining me is a very hot Patrick Van Straaten
I'm
in
hot as
every
hell.
sense of the word.
Thanks, Van Straaten fans.
But let's start with Gelson, Martins and Bruno Fernandes moving away from Sporting because that club seems to be imploding.
Yeah, Sky and Demartio are reporting that they might be on their way out. And to set the scene a little bit, last month, 50 masked men broke into Sporting CP's training ground and attacked the players and staff. Bas Dost was left needing stitches. I think we're all sad about that. And now 5 of the club's biggest stars have terminated their contracts, citing just cause. Essentially, if something insane happens, you can just end your contract. And this basically makes them free agents. Now, they do have 7 days to rescind those resignations. And Portuguese paper A Bola claims that they might actually do so if the president of the club, Bruno de Carvalho, steps down because he is suspected of masterminding the attack on his own club.
Drama.
But if that doesn't happen, they can basically join whoever they want, like a normal free agent, though De Carvalho has said that he will challenge any kind of move away from the club in court.
Doesn't seem like the sort of guy who's going to go, easily. He's going to be moved on, plucky, horrible.
He is a knob. I'll give you that. But coach Jorge Jesus has already jumped ship. He's in Saudi Arabia at Al Hilal, and the players are really quite good. It's the goalkeeper, Rui Patricio, William Carvalho, who of course has been linked with a move away forever, striker Bas Dost, Bruno Fernandes, who's a versatile midfielder, and this winger Gelson Martins. And they're actually the 5 most valuable players at the club according to Transfermarkt, with a combined worth of over 110 million euros. This is hilarious.
So the unthinkable might happen. William Carvalho might actually leave Sporting and come to British shores, having been linked with a move to the Premier League for the last 5 years straight. Chances are West Ham will still pay over the odds for him. But let's move on to the slightly more interesting move, which is Gelson Martins to Arsenal, with the Gunners having already submitted a 30 million euro offer. Now, we understand they've done this because they don't want the player to get tied up in any legal issues further down the line, and they also want to maintain a good working relationship with Sporting. But the first one is obviously more pressing because the president of Sporting has said, should the players try and enforce this 7-day ruling, that he will tie them up in legal issues, they won't be able to play, and that's not good for either club or the player, is it? So despite a 60 million euro buyout clause, Arsenal have submitted half of that in the hope that they get their man for a relatively low fee and that it's just a clean break.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, he played pretty darn well last season, didn't he? The 23-year-old wide man. He got 8 goals and 8 assists in just 31 appearances. An extremely quick player. He completed nearly 3 dribbles per 90 last season and created 1.6 chances per game for his teammates too. And Arsenal have lacked a little bit of pace in the wide areas since Theo Walcott moved on, so a welcome addition to Arsenal's current skill set. And he would also bring the age down of Arsenal's attack more prominently, with Iwobi currently the only forward or player who plays in a front 3 or in that 4-2-3-1 under the age of 27. Now, Bruno Fernandes, also a very interesting player, someone we spoke about at length on this channel. He is interesting Roma. He's tickling the Romans' pickle, and he only joined from Sampdoria for 8.5 million euros a year ago. So this would be a pretty swift exit from Portuguese shores. Now, he has a 100 million euro buyout clause, which is no wonder given that he's only 23. He produced 11 goals and 8 assists from midfield this season. That's a goal contribution every 148 minutes, despite playing in defensive midfield, in centre midfield, and on the wing, as well as his preferred position in attacking midfield. So he's got that versatility as well. He was 3rd in Portugal last season for chances created per 90 and was 2nd for the same stat in Italy before So despite being young, he's got pedigree, he's got form, and you're a big fan of his, aren't you?
Yeah, I think Bruno Fernandes is a really exciting player. And if I were a team like Spurs and I wanted backup to Christian Eriksen, I'd be looking at him. If I were a team like Liverpool and I wanted a versatile attacker to link midfield and the front line, then I'd be looking at him. Now, I mean, this is all coming from pretty reliable sources. And of course, big clubs are going to be interested in this calibre of player if they're going on a free. Both Fernandes and Martins are going to the World Cup with Portugal. So perhaps by the time Portugal's tournament is over, the legal situation will have become a little bit clearer.
Right. Okay.
But in the meantime, I think those are two really exciting moves.
Yeah, not great for Portugal though, with all these players distracted. But let's move on.
Yeah, but then against Spain, aren't exactly like doing everything well either, are they?
Quality cluster of an opening fixture.
I cannot wait for that game. Savage.
I'm going out for a meal with Lauren instead.
Oh shit, I'm out as well. What time is it? Tomorrow evening?
I'll record it and you can come round and we'll watch it naked.
I'd love to do that.
Don't
Cheers.
put that in. So that's going in, isn't it? Fantastic.
Portugal dealt with. Who have we got next?
It's Stefan Savic, oddly enough, who is interesting Chelsea and Juventus, according to Sky Italia. Now, we don't have any news of a fee, but with Savic's contract running until 2020, this would be the best summer for Atleti to sell right now. The 27-year-old Montenegro international is apparently looking for first-team football, with a report claiming that Simeone prefers a centre-back partnership of Godin and Jimenez. Now, to me, this seems a little bit weird, given that Godin is 32 and Jimenez only started 17 La Liga matches last campaign, while Savic started 26. And Chelsea don't really seem like the ideal destination if you want to play every single game, right? With Christensen, Rudiger, Cahill, as well as Zuma and David Luiz are still on the books.
Marcos Alonso, it's endless, isn't it?
Yeah, plus they have more pressing issues in midfield.
Yes, that's true.
And they still don't have a manager. But Juve makes more sense, right?
I think so. I think Juve always seem to poach the best talent from Italy, and Savic, of course, spent 3 years at Fiorentina between 2012 and 2015, which was when he caught Simeone's eye. Now, Juve have Caldara coming back from loan, who I assume they'll keep this season, and Rugani, of course, very highly rated youngster. But when you look around the rest of their centre-back options, extremely old.
Yeah.
Benatia is 31, Hervedez is 30, Chiellini's 33, Barzagli's 37. So they're all going to need replacement in the medium term. And I think that Savic doesn't necessarily profile that differently from them. He's got really good anticipation. 2 interceptions a game last year. That's around the same as Chiellini and Benatia. So he's a good kind of front foot defender. He's also a good progressive passer, 82% pass accuracy, which is actually pretty good when you see that 3/4 of his passes nearly go upfield. So he's not somebody who's just going to play it safely around the back line. And he's incredibly good in the air. He'll be really good in that deep block, obviously, that Juve play coming over from Atletico Madrid. He won 62% of his duels last season. That's better than all of Juve's defenders, except Benatia. Better in the air than Chiellini last season. Yeah, pretty amazing.
I'm struggling to see Atleti wanting to sell, because with him making 26 starts last season, clearly, even if Simeone is still going to use this kind of rotational system in defence, he's clearly still a big part of that. And they've already taken great steps to strengthen, haven't they? Signing Rodri, it looks like they're going to get Lemar wrapped up. And if the club's hierarchy want to keep players like Griezmann, if they want to keep Simeone happy, then selling these sort of players is only going to antagonise them, right? So I think Atleti will be a little bit more reluctant than maybe Sky Italia are making out here. But as always with Atleti, they are extremely business-like, aren't they? They've got a certain way of dealing, certain ethos, and if the right price comes in, you'd imagine that they take it. Juventus have only spent more than 25 million euros on a defender twice. That's Alexandro and Lilian Thuram. Lilian Thuram cost 42 million euros in 2001.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Worth it.
Yeah, it was good.
I know, absolute don. But I think this is very much in the balance. I think it's 50-50. It sounds realistic, but they're going to have to pay, I think, in the region of 30 to 40.
Yeah,
Will they be prepared to do that when they could probably, just give Rugani more responsibility, or go fishing in, in the Serie A barrel? Italy. Now, our next rumour is a tasty one.
Yes.
And it's one that sort of built momentum over the last month. Quite quite quietly in the background, and it's Marco Verratti to Manchester United, according to Calcio Mercato.
Yeah, apparently Mino Raiola has been shopping Verratti around. He didn't have a particularly good end to the season, though neither did Adrien Rabiot. And of course, with Thomas Tuchel coming in, things are expected to change. Now, Raiola, of course, took Mkhitaryan, Ibrahimovic and Lukaku to Old Trafford. And he's supposedly been instructed to find a new club for the Italian after Verratti met with Thomas Tuchel, who apparently told him he needs to lose weight, and he put him on a special diet, which he did not take kindly to. Now, apparently Barcelona have already said no, they're not interested. Real Madrid and Juventus are waiting to see if PSG are actually going to sanction a switch. But United, despite already getting Fred in for about 57 million euros and their interest in Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, they are apparently weighing up a bid for him. And it's understandable. They've been looking for this kind of regista for a long, long time. They don't actually have a version of that at the club, despite having some good midfielders. I think that this would make sense. You know, that it's a Galactico signing, but he's also the right age range. You know, he's 25 years old. I think that could be quite fun.
Yeah, to me, that makes much more sense than splashing out on someone like Milinkovic-Savic, who would demand a massive transfer fee, because essentially, I think you'd want to use Milinkovic-Savic in the same way that Pogba wants to be used. You know, as the more advanced midfielder in that midfield three. So signing Verratti, having Fred who's more box-to-box, and having Pogba in a little bit more of an advanced position would be a midfield to rival anyone's in the world. And now his stock has decreased a little bit. It makes him much more appealing, right? Because when Barcelona were in for him last season and we were saying he'd be a great fit for them, he was costing in the region of 90 million euros, which is sort of Ousmane Dembele money-ish.
But now that seems more normal, that sort of fee, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, 50 to 60 million for Verratti is, I think, still exceptional business. He's profiling very well. Like you said, only 25, he's diminutive, and that wouldn't be an issue with players like Matic and Pogba flanking him. So that adjustment to the physicality of the Premier League might not be as much of an issue. And I didn't realise that he only started 20 of PSG's league games last season. So, like you said, his stock has been in decline, but he did feature in all 8 of their Champions League matches, which kind of alludes to the fact that he's an exceptional player and has this very unique skill set, but not that important when you're rolling over inferior teams.
And maybe not the work ethic that a Thomas Tuchel wants from a player. Going to sit out the easy games and turn up for the big ones.
But he obviously does have a lot to offer, Thomas Tuchel. He's an amazing distributor with a pass accuracy of 91%, and that's from 97 passes per game, which included nearly 6 long balls. So that's more than someone like Jordan Henderson, and I think Jordan Henderson led the way in the Premier League last season with 5.4 as a non-goalkeeper.
Sure.
Long balls. My voice just broke. He also won possession 4 times per 90. He completed 2 dribbles. He created 1.5 chances per game. And when you consider he's doing everything basically. So these are great numbers in sort of defence and attack. Insane stuff for a deep lying midfielder. However, if PSG can't command a significant fee for him, there's no great pressure to sell.
Yeah.
And with Rabiot's contract situation stalling, bit of a risky move letting him go.
Yeah, you don't want to turn over that whole midfield in your first summer if you're Thomas Tuchel, especially with the talent in it. And also, as much as Tuchel might have said, look, I want you to lose weight and be a bit fitter, like, that's not the same thing as saying, you're not a good player, I don't want you at the club. Like, he seems like essentially the champagne version of Julian Weigl was at Dortmund. So I think he'd fit quite well under Tuchel.
Being fit also not that much of an ask, is it?
You're a professional athlete.
So stop.
Italian, but an athlete.
With the croissants, you little porker.
We finish on a slightly more concrete story. It's Thomas Lemar to Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, this one sounds like it's a done deal, doesn't it? With Atleti announcing they have reached an agreement with Monaco for the 22-year-old Frenchman. Now, the reported fee is 60 million euros, so not as much as Arsenal and Liverpool were willing to pay last summer, but still pretty sizable, given that his output has decreased, which I believe you're going to talk about. And it might go some way into convincing Antoine Griezmann to stay. Apparently they're very close in the French setup. That might just be lazy journalism, who knows? But Like we said earlier, Antoine Griezmann, it's going to buoy him seeing this calibre of player come through the door. And he will fill that hole left by Carrasco, who left for China in January for around 30 million euros. Not that much for a player of his calibre, but I feel like there was something that happened behind the scenes there because he started the season really well, but never mind, it's happened now, it's history. And Atleti have lacked that player ever since who goes, who cuts in from out wide and offers a bit of a goal-scoring threat, because Antoine Griezmann has been carrying that burden for some time now, hasn't he? I believe 112 goals in the league since he joined from Real Sociedad. Might be all competitions, not sure. Should have done my research. You take over.
Yeah, I think they were hoping that Nico Gaitan would be that guy who would kind of cut inside from the wing and create, but he either didn't have the pace or he just didn't fit, he didn't work hard enough, whatever it was, it just didn't quite work out. And Griezmann is often left having to run half the length of the pitch just to create something.
Of course, Correa has helped out in that regard this season as well. Shout out to him because he's been great, but often his time is limited, right? I'm not sure as to what reason, and doesn't necessarily play out wide, does he?
No, he's not.
Floating in the centre.
He's kind of playing like a centre forward often, like in a front two, rather than in that kind of hybrid wing attacking midfield role. But Lemar, he has had a bit of a drop-off this season, so Simeone will need to get him going again. He got 2 goals, 8 assists in Ligue 1. That's down from 9 goals and 10 assists the year before. And it's not really a surprise when you see how his underlying numbers have dropped. Shots have gone down from 2 to 1.8, key passes from 2.5 to 2.1, tackles and interceptions from 2.7, which is really good, to 1.9, which is pretty good. And to a certain extent, some of this was inevitable. Lemar has taken over 70% of his shots from outside the box over the last 2 years. It's actually a higher proportion now than it was the year before.
And
well, they're not going to go in forever, are they? Like it just never is going to go that way. But I also think that probably a drop-off in quality in the teammates around him hasn't helped. I think people know that he is a danger, and so they've probably keyed in on him, which has probably helped Ronnie Lopez. And while Ronnie Lopez is good, and so is Keita Balde-Diao, I think that those guys are not quite at the standard of Bernardo Silva and Kylian Mbappe. I don't think that's particularly controversial.
Agreed.
So I don't know. I think the talent's clearly there. I can see how this works. You know? I look at this and I think, yep, that makes sense. I'm excited.
Great signing for Atleti. I think another really kind of tidy, press-resistant, dynamic player, and they do conduct business very, very smartly. Let us move on to the transfer shocker before we wrap this rodeo up. We spoiled you last week. McCubbin and Zach had 2 transfer shockers for you, which is just as well because we haven't really got one this week. I haven't seen anything that has really got my back up, Van Straten. Now, if I was to bring something to the table, it'd potentially be Shaqiri to Liverpool for 15 mil, which is a tidy fee, and I think is a useful player. But as a replacement for Nabil Fekir, all of a sudden we're going from here to here, and this feels like a Liverpool signing of old, where they're signing players who aren't going to improve them necessarily as a club. Now, having him on the bench, okay, fine. But is he going to settle for a sporadic start here and there? Is he going to make an impression? I think he's better served at a club from 6th to 10th. When I saw the Shaqiri rumours to Leicester, I thought that makes perfect sense if they're going to sell Riyad Mahrez. You're going to get someone whose output is probably going to be quite similar towards the end of the season, contribute to a lot of attacking phases of play, and who is at a club where he'll be the key man, which is where he's prospered, right? When he's been at Bayern, when he's been at Inter, when he's been a bit part player, he's lost motivation, it would seem, pretty quickly, and has lost form and just widens. He widens.
He's a little weightlifter.
He's a little chode. When he's not playing, I fear that he'll just be wider than he is long. But have you seen anything of the sort, or?
I don't know, I have some thoughts on the Shaqiri thing. I mean, in a way, I kind of thought that Leicester could do slightly better than Shaqiri. I mean, I guess for that price, he's worth a go. But I don't know, it depends how Liverpool were to use him. If basically they think that they can't get this hybrid guy who can both play, on the wing and as a kind of number 8, as an attacking midfielder, as a reserve striker, which is what Fekir can do, then it makes sense to maybe target a couple of guys. And Shaqiri, he's played in pressing systems. He played under Pep Guardiola. and your Pinkers. So maybe they think, well, he'll cover that wing role, and then we can actually spend a bit more money on somebody who's a dedicated attacking midfielder, second striker. Like, in a way, it would be really fun to see them go for someone like a Milinkovic-Savic. That would be really fun.
That would be ballsy. But I feel like this has shades of, you know, when Liverpool would sign someone like a Bellamy, a very good player, has qualities, will probably score the odd goal every now and then. But they used to spend 10, 15 million on 10 players, and none of them would make an impression. So that's why I thought the Fekir one, 58 million, wow, like, yes, Liverpool are going hard for the league next year, and this doesn't really stink of that. But what do you guys think? Should Liverpool sign Shaqiri? Let us know in the poll just above. And let's just go out, Patria Landstra. Let's finish.
Bye.
What else is happening on Eurofootball
Oh,
Daily?
whatever, mate. Who cares? Amazing content, World Cup content. We've got World Cup 10s and 11s coming your way. Of course, go back and check out the previews where we give you the lowdown on every single team at the tournament. And make sure you keep your peepers peeled for our watch-alongs, where we're going to be watching football and
with
distracting you from it, because it's going to be, you know, Russia, Saudi Arabia, some such tussle over gas. Bye.